Hariom to everyone here, and Hariom to all of you who are watching online or will watch on later. Welcome to you all. And I'm very, very happy to introduce you to Swami Vidyanandaji. Swamiji is head of the ashram in Cape Town. It's called Ananda Kutir. And Swamiji has been speaking at our retreat for a number of years. We've known him for a long time. Even before he took sannyas, he visited the ashram several times. He also even came for the Christmas retreat, and many, many, many years ago. And regular visitor. We just met last year again. And one thing, we invited Swamiji to speak and found his talks to be really wonderful. Very, very systematic, and again, a very different perspective on whatever the theme is. So Swamiji, we're very happy to have you back again, and look forward to hearing what you have to share with us today. Hariom.
Hariom Swami Amritavananda Mataji. Thank you so much for inviting me again to be part of the Christmas retreat and to do a little sharing. And also, we're very grateful to you for always including the birth anniversary of Sri Swami Venkateswara Maharaj as part of the Christmas retreat, which is why you usually ask me to speak on the 29th of December. So thank you very much, and I'm grateful also to all the senior Swamijis for allowing me to be part of the retreat. So yes, thank you. I'll start now. Oh. Ajnanatimirandasya gnananjanshalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine, Vyomavat Vyaptadeyaya Shri Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. Om Sanavavato Sanobhanakto Saviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vitvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Also just need to mention that this talk is part of our satsang here, because we're having a satsang here at the ashram celebrating the birth anniversary of Swami Venkateswara Maharaj. It's now sort of 7:30 here. People have been here since 5 o'clock this morning, and we're going on till lunchtime. So I will not be able to look at the screen continuously. I also have to pay attention to my fellow friends here also. So if I don't always look at the screen, you know why I'm not looking at the screen. I'm also looking at our friends here, two audiences. So when I saw the topic, the trust that liberates, I immediately thought of the Divine Life Society Trust. I think that is one trust that definitely helps with liberation. There are many trusts in this world for all kinds of purposes. Some of them are probably better not to know about. But this trust definitely has been established for this purpose. I believe the initiative was from Swami Paramananda, who was one of the very early disciples of Gurudev, and Gurudev called him the Bismarck of my mission. And he had the idea that a society or trust should be established to facilitate in the dissemination and publishing of Swami Shivananda's books. It should be more in a more organized manner. And so that was done. And Swami Shivananda's books were specifically written for the liberation of all beings, not political liberation, or any other form of liberation, these all finally lead to bondage also. We even experience this in our own country. You know what struggles people had to go through here. But now some of them are even wishing apartheid would come back, because unfortunately the liberator becomes the oppressor at some point. So all that kind of liberation has a limited purpose. The real liberation is the liberation of the soul, as all our Swamijis preceding me in the talks have mentioned so beautifully. So I'm not going to go much into that, what liberation is. Swami Nilaptanaji specifically has gone into great detail on this point. So, trust. Yes, we come into the contact maybe of books of Swami Shivananda or Swami Venkateshananda or any other saint or any other tradition, because I think most of us, our spiritual path includes listening to teachings, reading into teachings. And I'm going to look at that sort of aspect of it. Swami Venkateshananda himself hardly ever used the word trust. He used the word faith. And as has been mentioned also in the previous talks, Mataji herself has also mentioned it, that the word trust can be used, or the word faith can be used instead of the word trust. But what is in a word? The problem with words, of course, is that the same word can have different meanings to different people, and in different teachers also. This has been my experience, that often the same word is used very differently by different teachers. So one has to really get into the spirit of it, not get stuck in words. Again, I'm going to use words, and we should not get stuck in the word, but rather enter into the spirit that the word is indicating, for us to get some kind of understanding. Now, faith is somehow coupled to doubt. And before I go into that, I'm also reminded of that the words can also be problematic. For me, often the word faith is problematic. It brings up little vrittis from the past. Because in my early religious education, whenever questions were asked, you must have faith, which I think normally meant the teacher didn't have an answer. And if they don't have an answer, they just say, you must have faith, you must just believe. And that kind of put me off the word faith. But of course, being on the path of yoga, I realize that, yes, it's true. You have to have faith. Everything is based on faith. In fact, everything is based on faith. I don't think any aspect of our life is not based on faith. If I'm sick, I go to my doctor. I have faith that he knows something, and that whatever he prescribes is going to help me, at least not going to harm me. If I get into my car to drive somewhere, I have faith that I won't get into an accident. If I knew that I would get into an accident, I would not get into the car. So actually everything is based on faith, especially when it comes to learning. I believe, I'm not a scientist or anything like that, but I believe in mathematics also. Mathematics too is based on faith. They don't use that word, they use the word axiom. And in science, you use the word theory. Theory means really faith. So everything is based on faith when we start our spiritual journey. And this faith starts with doubt, because we have a doubt about life. Why do I start on the journey? Why do I want to learn something? Because I have a doubt. I have a confusion. I realize I don't know about life, or whatever it is. There's the first doubt. And Swami Venkateshananda makes a distinction between healthy doubt and unhealthy doubt, or what he calls doubt coupled with clarity, opposed to doubt coupled with unclarity. Now, the doubt that is coupled with unclarity, that leads to dejection. It leads to an abandonment of the path. It even leads to not even wanting to listen. How can you say there's God there's no God, finished, end of subject. And that kind of doubt, of course, is usually what is not advised by the great teachers. This is the doubt that is not advised. But the healthy doubt, the doubt that is coupled with clarity, is a useful doubt. In fact, there's a story of the great sage Shuka. Now, Shuka was supposed to have been born in an enlightened state. So that's what the scripture says. Although he still had to go to school, or in Gurukula as they called it in those days. And when he returns from the Gurukula, he still has a doubt. And he asks his father, the great sage Vyasa, to clarify the doubt, and the sage does, but still the doubt remained. And Shuka has to go to the great enlightened king Janaka. And it is through the interaction with the king Janaka that that final little doubt is removed and he is established in total enlightenment. So there is some doubt in us, and we should be clear about the doubt. What is the doubt? There is doubt in me. What is the doubt? And what do we do when there's doubt and clarity regarding the doubt? I know I have a doubt. I go to a teacher. Ideally a guru. If we can go to a guru, that would be great. If their guru is not accessible, go to a teacher, someone who has got a little bit of experience, and maybe some scriptural knowledge, or read a book or a scripture. So this doubt actually makes us explore a teaching, gain a teaching, receive a teaching, and that is, of course, extremely important. It is the doubt is actually the push to seek. If I think about my own journey, when I had a little crisis, it made me seek. It made me ask questions, and so that made me be on the path. So without that doubt, there would not have been a movement towards liberation. And it's because of coming into the teachings, in my case it was through Mother Yogeshwari, that I realized that what is required is self-realization. Self-realization is the same thing as liberation, from my point of view. Liberation is one way of looking at it. Self-realization, God-realization, nirvana, these are all different terms that are used essentially for the same something, that ultimate reality that we want to be one with. So had it not been for the crisis, had it not been for the doubting about life, because I thought I knew everything, as one does sometimes, especially after having studied psychology, you think you know everything, and then life teaches you know nothing, and that brings a doubt, and that brings you into touch with the teaching. Then we hear the teaching, and Swami Venkateshwar talks about faith in three stages of faith. First, there's belief, then there's faith, and then there is conviction. Now, please, again, I'm mentioning this thing about the words. We should not get stuck in the words. We have to use words, and these are the words that Swamiji used. Belief, then faith, then conviction. And he gives an analogy like, say, fire. You have not experienced, imagine you've not experienced fire ever. You don't know what it is. And someone has told you about it, and has told you that fire is very hot. So now I've heard this. This is belief. I hear it from a fireman. So I kind of believe him because he's a fireman. So he probably knows something about fire. And he tells me it's hot. So this is belief. But when I approach a fire, when I come near to a fire, I experience the heat. I get a feeling of the heat. That is called faith. And when I'm in the fire, that is conviction. So now we're going to look at that. So I've listened to a teaching, and there is a belief. The Guru says there is something called Brahman, and that you can be one with Brahman, or that you even are now. I mean, there's still a doubt. Why? Because in the very middle of the word belief, Swamiji points out, are three letters. After the BE, there are three letters. LIE. They spell lie. So, not that in belief there's a lie, we should not take it literally. It means I still do not know. I can profess it also. I can sit here and talk and say, we are all one in Brahman. Brahman is the sole reality. But is it belief, faith, or conviction? A belief. It's a belief. And as long as the belief is not blind, it should not be a blind belief, it has its validity. Blind belief means I believe something without any kind of backup. Now, when we receive a teaching, there's a lot of backup. The backup is, first of all, the teaching. There's logic, there's reason. In Vedanta, there's a lot of logic, a lot of reason. Then there's the experience of the teacher or the guru. They have experience. And if we are fortunate to be in the company of a guru or enlightened masters, great saints and sages, and if any of us had the great opportunity of being in the company of the direct disciples of Swami Shivananda, then it's a bit more than just belief, but it is all backed up. So it's not blind belief. You witness it, you see people living it. And the scriptures, which are logical, reason, all helps us to sort of have a belief. But it is belief. I believe it. And that is the springboard. Belief is the springboard. It's where we start off. Everyone starts with this belief. And then that belief will hopefully make us do something. What do you do? This, whatever sadhana has been given to us, is what we start doing. And then we may have a glimpse. And that glimpse brings faith. Some experience is had. And that experience cannot be denied. Even if others think you are making it up, you know your experience. And when that experience is had, then there is faith. Swamiji describes it as faith which is born of a veiled vision of the truth. There's still the veil of ignorance, the veil is still there, and veil of conditioning, but somehow a little bit of that truth has filtered through. We can take an example. For example, visualize a light bulb, and it has got around it loads of lampshades. Not only one, loads of lampshades. So many that it is dark. But as you remove one lampshade after the other, a little bit of light will filter through. And so they say that's what happens to us. We may not have discovered the reality as such, but it is shining through. A little bit of shining through. Because the mind is becoming more sattvic. When we are pursuing our sadhana, then the mind should become more sattvic. And the sattvic mind allows a little bit of that truth to come through, so we have a glimpse of it. And it need not be some kind of super extraordinary experience. I remember this beautiful little story. We used to have the children's yoga classes here at the ashram. And one day, the little boy, he was about 10 years old, he went home after they had the yoga camp here at the ashram, and he said to his mom, "Mom, I had such peace during yoga nidra. I think it must be God." Now, we may think this is a cute story, but is he maybe right? Is maybe that little bit of peace in a yoga nidra, is that not a glimpse of God? We think maybe it's just the nerves that have relaxed. But what happens when the nerves relax? Is that not a little glimpse coming through? Is that not maybe just the little bit of peace, the little bit of quietness, the little bit of happiness that we feel during a satsang, during our practice, whatever it is may be, a little bit of the quietening of the mind. Is that not maybe just a little bit of the glimpse coming through? And then because we have got this little bit of experience, yes, just a little bit of calm. Maybe I'm a little bit calmer than I used to be. Maybe I don't freak out so easily when things go wrong. Or I can bring myself back more easily. This is all glimpses. These are all glimpses. We're not paying attention to these things. But these are maybe all little glimpses. And because we have these experiences, we have faith. That is the faith. Of course, this faith will grow. It might be a little small ember and it will grow maybe into more of a fire. But what this faith does, that's the important part, it makes us devoted to the path. That's why it is liberating. The trust that liberates, the faith that liberates. It is liberating because faith, which is based on a glimpse, makes us do sadhana. It makes us continue in the path. It brings about devotion. Swamiji points out that if no further effort is made, there is no faith and there has been no glimpse. It is not possible to have had a glimpse without it leading to more effort. So the result of these glimpses, the result or the power of faith is that it makes us get up in the morning and do some meditation. The faith is what makes us repeatedly do the same sadhana, even though we may even think we're not getting anywhere. But why am I getting up? Because that is the faith. Something inside me, that glimpse, knows. It knows there's a truth to what we have learned from our teachers, our gurus. So faith sustains spiritual effort, says Swami Venkateshananda. It sustains spiritual effort. That is when we know that there's faith, because we keep on going, no matter what the difficulty, no matter how difficult it is, maybe even sometimes unpleasant. Sometimes our sadhana is unpleasant, but we keep going because that faith is there. So faith is not a blind thing. It is not like what one's, teacher at school said, you must have faith. And where do you get this faith from? How do you have faith? That they didn't tell you. They didn't tell us how to get that faith. You must just have it somehow. But the faith comes the moment we have had some small glimpse. Maybe just that at the end of Yoga Nidra. Maybe just that little bit of relaxation. There's something in this. There's something in this. I feel better doing my sadhana. There's something in it. These little fruits that come along the way, they are proof. They are evidence that there is something, some truth to what they are telling us. That there is an absolute reality and that we are one with it and that we can experience it. Whether you're dualist or non-dualist doesn't matter. That you'll find out when we get there. But we're all experiencing something. And so, with the experiences, then also we adopt the teaching. Maybe we've only taken a small portion of the teaching. Now, when I begin to experience something, I may adopt greater parts of the teachings. I may go deeper into the teachings. And adopting the teaching really means to begin to live the teachings. Swami Venkateshananda had a very lovely word that he used for the teachings, gaining teachings. He used to call it assimilating. You assimilate a teaching. Assimilate. Assimilate means, according to Swami Venkateshananda, to become similar. I become similar to the teaching, or the teaching becomes similar to me. In the sense that you assimilate a banana. Okay, we don't hope that you're going to look like a banana, but the banana will begin to be part of you. The body, the intelligence in the body assimilates the banana and it becomes the body. So likewise, when this faith is there, we begin to assimilate the teachings, and the teachings begin to be alive in us. It's almost not even a putting it into practice, because then there's still me and the teachings, two separate things, and I'm trying to put a teaching into practice. Here, in the assimilation, it is like the banana. You're not trying to make the banana move the body. The banana has become so one with the body that that energy of the banana is now moving the body. There's no distinction anymore between the body and the banana. Banana has become body. So here the teachings have been so assimilated that we are become one with the teachings. This is what the faith will do. When we actually sort of spontaneously begin to live the teachings, or at least parts of it, some of it, then we are definitely on the path. Then we are making progress. And that is why this faith then leads to liberation. Because the faith is what makes us do sadhana. The faith helps us to assimilate the teachings. The faith helps us to get into the more subtle aspects of the teaching. And the teachings are not just the words. The teachings are not just the concepts. The teachings are also the spirit behind the words, that essential something, right? I mean, for those of you who've had maybe experience of being in the company of the Guru, now the Guru is saying words. Are we just receiving the words? Or is something else being communicated? Swami Venkateswara pointed out, what is communication? He made a distinction between convey a message and communicate a message. Convey a message, he said, is like the conveyor belt. It moves from like the conveyor belt. You have some object on the conveyor belt at one end, and then it moves to another end. So that's what happens when we convey a message. Words come from this mouth, and they are by an invisible conveyor belt going into the ear. And then they remain as words. But that is not the same as communication. Communication is commune, to become one. Commune in French, come one. To commune. Communication means to become one. So although the Guru may use words, but actually if we are really tuned in, then that communication is a becoming one. We are receiving something far more subtle than the words. Or we are receiving that which the words indicate. Further, that faith will make us do the sadhana. And then, of course, there will be more and more faith that there is something called Brahman. It's now no longer just a belief. We have faith because we begin to have these glimpses. But then at some point, as we said, when the mind is completely purified and there's total sattva, and then the sattva is transcended, then, going back to our analogy in the beginning, so in the beginning the belief was, we just hearing about the fire. Faith is you experiencing the heat of the fire. And then you go, and then you jump into the fire. You become one with the fire. That is what Swamiji would then call conviction. You are one with the fire. You are one with Brahman. And then, that's liberation. That's liberation. So this seems to be totally in our journey. It's part of our journey. Faith is part of our journey. It is our journey, maybe even. Maybe we can even say it is our journey. Because in the Bhagavad Gita also they said, the person is their faith. You are your faith. You live according to your faith. Not the faith that we profess, because the word faith also gets used differently again. What faith do you belong to? No, how we live our life is totally based on our faith. So, if our life becomes more and more spiritual, that means obviously our faith is of a spiritual nature. I also use this example of how we know what is our faith. I can use the example of a committee meeting, and the treasurer arrives with the financials. We are running at a deficit for the last 4 months. We cannot carry on like this. What should we do? And now you hear all the different responses. And each person's response is based on their faith. Their faith is speaking. We must do fundraising. That is the faith that that person has. You must be active, you must do something, and this type of activity will be there. And if you're like a Gurudev, you will say, God will provide, don't worry. His faith is speaking. I believe, Swami Venkateshwara was telling, that in Gurudev's days, the ashram was in financial crisis apparently every 6 months or so. He said not only was Swami Shivananda unconcerned, it almost seemed like he was looking forward to it. And I believe that after one meeting, it was said, no more new residents. We can't have more ashramites because there's no finance. And the very next day after the meeting, a new person arrived seeking shelter at the ashram. And the treasurer was standing there, arms folded. He can't say anything. But yesterday was the decision. Gurudev's sitting, he's looking at the treasurer, he's looking at everybody else. Oji, let him stay. God has sent him, God will also send the supply. See? So our faith speaks. So if our response to worldly matters, to our daily life matters, to our challenges specifically, we can, then the faith is growing in spirituality. Yoga is becoming our faith. God is becoming our faith. So these are the things that will happen. Maybe even maybe at the first my response is not spiritual. It's still a worldly response. But suddenly another thought comes up. Why are you thinking like this? You should have faith in God. That means already there's a little bit of faith coming through. Can we see? So the point being is everybody has faith. Everything lives by faith. Faith is maybe the essence of life, actually, one could say. When it comes to yoga, it depends on the experiences we have. And we should take cognizance of the small little experiences that we have, because that will give us faith. It will augment the faith. And I do believe in this also, satsang. Especially to be in the company of enlightened masters or great people who've been on the path for decades. I think that is very, very important. When we in the company of holy beings, it will definitely also increase our faith, because you see the teachings being lived right in front of you. And if it's possible even to be in their company in normal circumstances, not necessarily in lectures, but in normal everyday circumstances, where you can see how they interact with people, with life, then that will also help us in our path. So yes, and even while we're continuing with our path, there will still be doubt. That doubt is not necessarily a bad thing. We made the distinction earlier on about doubt with unclarity and doubt with clarity. When there's doubt with clarity, like in the sage Shuka, when there's a doubt, I have heard the teaching, I'm not clear about it, I still have not understood it properly, my life is still not in accordance with the teachings, I still have some doubts, I'm clear about it. It will make me ask more questions, right? Tomorrow there's a question and answer session. It is actually a doubt and reply session. the questions are an expression of doubt. And that it must be brought out. We should recognize there's a doubt. It's not a bad thing, we shouldn't have doubt. The negative doubt, that's useless, of course. We can see it's not going to go anywhere. But with the doubt coupled with clarity, I can see there's a doubt. I have not understood. Then that doubt will again be a push to get more teaching, to ask questions, to get clarity, to do more reflection. Reflection is very important because in reflection we can get these glimpses. Then that all will lead towards liberation. Faith is the path of liberation. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityoma Mritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Sakravana Ki Jai.
Thank you so much, Swamiji. That was a wonderful talk, as always. And I so much appreciated the way you made this distinction between healthy doubt and unhealthy doubt. Also, healthy doubt gives humility. And,
Yes.
And also, what was so valuable is the way you said, even the tiny little glimpses, we pay attention to them and then they increase our faith, our trust. I think that's very important because not everybody has the big experiences. Many of us, it's just very, very subtle. And so that was a wonderful way of putting it. And also the importance that you laid upon in satsang. Especially, people find when they go back to the world, they're so quickly dragged down. And so the importance of satsang and the blessing of satsang. And I'm just wondering if you still have some time, if there's any questions anybody would like to ask.
We have time?
Yes. Go.
My committee has given permission for time.
Just a sec. Oh, yeah, Michael. Okay, Michael. And thank you for sending Michael here. We've enjoyed having him.
Yeah, we enjoy having him here.
Yeah.
We miss him. So nice to see you, Michael.
We would steal him if he didn't have to go back to South Africa. But we have a person from you.
You can't escape my question, Swami.
Let's be quiet at the ashram. All the satsangs, no questions.
In Cape Town, I don't have to raise my hand anymore. Swami just looks at me and I ask. This is on the topic of healthy doubt. And Swami that one, Swami P. So Swami P said yesterday that any talk on liberation presupposes a bondage. And another big topic that's been said on this retreat is God is both in the light and in the darkness, like God is in the thief. And it made me think of, I guess it's quite a universal feeling that we all feel a state of bondage. And I guess my question is whether the divine, through his, well, not the good aspects, put us into bondage. And then it seems contradictory to trust in him when he's the one that bonded us.
Did God put us into bondage and then trying to liberate us? There are maybe theories like that. I don't know. In the Bible, Genesis, the story is a little different. There, they put themselves in bondage. They were in Eden. They are told exactly what to do and what not to do. And yet they did what they were not supposed to do, and then bondage started. So is it possible that we've put ourselves in bondage? Even now, right? Part of the teaching is to eliminate sense pleasure. What's the problem? No problem. But the problem is I don't want to let go of the sense pleasure. That's the problem. Is that God's fault or my fault? You see? So, the key thing is, though, to recognize I am in bondage. Or maybe we are not in bondage. When we are having a dream, the person, the me in the dream, is in bondage. Am I really in bondage? No. I'm not really in bondage, I'm sleeping. I'm not that person in the dream who's bound. I'm the dreamer. So what's the point? The point is, I experience bondage. Maybe we are actually not bound. We're just experiencing it. We're thinking it. Maybe God has not bound us. We have bound ourselves through our thoughts, through our identification with the body and so on. So, but the point is, of course, I realize I feel bound. So, what to do? I must get out. I want to get out. No one wants to be bound. Once we realize we are bound, then we want out. We want to be free. So, this is more of a practical answer rather than philosophical. I feel bound. Has God bound me or have I bound myself? I don't even know. But I feel bound. Now I want to get out. I want to be free. And maybe if we are really absolutely free, even though God cannot bind us.
Thank you very much. That was amazing. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions? That's it.
Hariom, Swamiji, it's very good to see you again.
Yeah. Yes, how are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you. So my question is, suppose the faith, for me, I seem to have a very fickle relationship with faith, at least in the way I think you described, where there might be glimpses, but I'm so stubborn. Maybe after some time, I don't know, it weakens. So sometimes when I feel quite drowned in life, suppose there are multiple experiences happening that are overwhelming, and I'm just having to keep up moment to moment with whatever's going on in front of me, I notice that my faith turns really into a thought. I mean, it's just barely a thought in my mind at that point that, okay, there is a God, and everything from the teachings, and it might even be just a story I'm telling myself at that point. It's just at that mental level, and I'm worried because perhaps I'm not. There's like doubt about the doubt, like, oh, am I kidding myself, or am I not living it in the heart? It creates a worry in me. So I was wondering if you could speak to faith on the level of thought, whether that's okay, what you think about that.
Yeah, I was just thinking, how wonderful that you have that thought. The thought like, oh, there's a God. How wonderful that you have that thought, because how many people have that thought when they are challenged with life? They just get drowned in it. And somehow this thought arrives, well, there's a God. That's wonderful. All right, now it's still mental. I can see it's as mental as I'm not feeling in my heart because at the same time I'm worried. There's anxiety and all that is going on. And at the same time there's a thought, there's God. And then there's a thought, I should trust in God. And I've just been to Shivananda Ashram retreat and I should trust in God. But I don't really trust in God. But I'm having these thoughts. I'm having these thoughts. So now what's the next step to take? And maybe I should sit down for a little while. Maybe I should just sit down, take a break, stop. Maybe do my mantra. Maybe do a little bit of breathing. In fact, Swami Yogasukhananda the other day was saying, breath is faith. It's actually the Upanishads. Breath is faith. Prana is faith. Maybe I should sit down a little bit, just breathe a little bit. Maybe I should do a little bit of japa. All right. If that thought can also come, then you'll see now then your faith will become more real. Not only mental, but it will go into the heart. So thank God the thought has come. Now, next step is do something with the thought. And that is something practical. Sit down, breathe, japa, whatever it is. I'm just giving you some suggestion. Kirtan, puja, whatever it is. Some sadhana. Because that sadhana will bring you into the heart. That would be my suggestion.
Yes. Thank you very much, Swamiji.
Okay.
Anybody else like to ask a question? I just have one quick question.
Oh,
What was Sukha? Was it Sukha?
yeah.
Was born realized. What was his last note?
Whether his experience is actually the reality.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So he was having experience of Brahman, but is what he's experiencing real? So that final little doubt apparently had to be removed. And the story is quite funny actually, because he goes to the sage to see King Janaka. He's outside the palace, and then King Janaka is told there's this young man outside. He wants to see you. He says, let him wait. And he had to wait something like a week outside, and they dumped rubbish on his head. And he stood there and said, I'm not worried about what's falling on my head. I want to see the King Janaka. Then he was allowed after a week in. Now he's brought into the palace. He was given a bath, and all the dancing girls are there doing their gaga dances and all this thing. I'm not worried about what is going on in me. I only want to see the sage Janaka. And then he finally is allowed into the king. After having been now exposed to pain and pleasure, unswayed, he arrives at the court of King Janaka. Then he says, this is my experience. This is what the scriptures say. This is what my father has said. What do you say? You have it. You can go now. That's it. And that was all that was needed. You have it. You can go. So that was that.
Wonderful. Thank you. and thank you again, Swamiji. It was, as always, a wonderful talk, and so much bringing the teachings of Swami Venkateshanandaji in, and to share your celebration on his birth anniversary with us. That is really wonderful. Is Vaniji there?
Thank you.
Vaniji there?
Yes, Vani, come. Come.
Come.
Come.
Just, we all have to have her darshan because she came so many times.
Did you come back?
Yes. Yes, Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Yes, Hari Om
Hello,
Maharaji.
you. Very nice.
Yes. So nice to see you. We hope to see you in person soon.
Yes, I must do that as soon.
Both you and
Hari Om.
Swamiji. What we want really is both you and Swamiji to come for the next Christmas retreat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful-
Be here live with us instead of
Sounds
live
good.
streaming live. Okay, thank
I like-
you again. Yeah.
Hari Om.
Anybody else? Yes. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Om Om.